Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another time out here. Welcome to another time to the book club. Thanks. Great to have you all here. uh, so we're gonna continue here with a book. Business is Personal. That is Bethenny Frankel's book. It's our fifth featured book. We're gonna get on here. It's our 10th week on this. Our first week we did an introduction to the book, and last week we started with chapter 1, and today we're going to go ahead our second read in chapter 1, and we're gonna finish chapter 1 next week because we just have enough material that we don't want to rush through, so we can get the best assimilation from it all. And so we're gonna do the part today and finish it up next week. God helping us. So that's what we have to do, and we're gonna just go in on to this immediately. So that's the book we're on right now. Business is Personal. Like I showed, this is my own copy of it. And that's what we're going to be devouring for some months to come, the way it's appearing. And running through the schedule, today we're going to do a second read in chapter 1. Next week we'll finish up chapter 1 next week. And and we'll go on to chapter 2 upper week, and probably spend 2 weeks on chapter 2, 2 weeks on chapter 3, and we're probably going to spend 1 week or 2 weeks. It all depends on the content that we have. So we want to rush it, we don't want to drag it. The whole idea is being able to get the most out of the content. All right. So, I mean, this is our second read into chapter 1 of the book. We did an intro to chapter 1 last week, and there was just so much material. We didn't want to just take too much in one reading. So I divided into 3 parts. So we're going to do the second part today, and we'll finish up the chapter 1 next week. So pretty much the main chapter 1 is titled "You've Got to Be in It to Win It," which we introduced last week. You have to be in the process of life to win in life. If you're passive about life, you can't win, because life is a game, life is a war, right? You have to see yourself in the game. You have to see yourself as part of the screenplay, or you have to see yourself as part of a war. If you're not actively involved, you cannot win, right? You cannot have the best of life, and that's what the whole chapter is about. And last week we talked about the need to be involved in life. Today we're going to talk about the fact that we need to take responsibility for the life that we have been given, and we need to make it work. Those are the things that we're going to focus on, today. And pretty much the continuum of life is something that Stephen Covey espouses in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it just talks about the way we go through life, right? We all come into life very dependent, right? We're dependent, when we come through life, when we get conceived, when our mother's womb, we get born, we're very dependent, right? But the moment we get born, we start gaining independence, detachment. Once that cord is cut for the baby from the mother, that baby begins to grow in independence, right? It's 100% dependent in the mother's womb while that cord is there. But once that cord has been cut, the baby begins to grow its independence to the extent to which, as a young adult, you are expected to be almost fully independent as a young adult, right? But that's not the end of life. Now, there is another place of life where, as an independent person, you can make what we call an interdependent decision. Knowing that you're a part of a community, a society, you release some of your independency so you can work together as a society, as a team, as a community in a marriage situation, right? Because anytime you're teaming up with someone else, you cannot have 100% independency. Otherwise, you will not be able to match with that person. It's like going for a work, right? When you go for a work, the two people cannot walk at their normal speed or normal pace. They come to a new pace, a new speed that is comfortable to their discussion, their engagement together. Both of them change, right? That's the thing about marriage. Also, I wrote a series on marriage will change you. I wrote a series on that years ago, and the fact that if you don't change your marriage cannot work, right? You cannot go into marriage and be exactly the same person you were before that marriage. In that marriage, you are going to have to make some adjustments to make the union work, right? Anyone that does not make adjustment is the immature one. Maturity demands making adjustment to be able to find a new harmony with this person that you have come into relationship with, right? To make that marriage work, right? So it's just the phase of life we all go through in life, right? And some people would rather have us, to be dependent all the days of our life so that they can oppress us. Because when you come to an independent status, it's a place where you could do that immaturely, where you begin to be a rebel to everybody, to every authority. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a mature status whereby you are independent, but you still respect the authorities and the systems that you are subjected to, right? Not because you have to, but because you decide to, right? You are independent. Yes, you can make your decisions, but you still make decisions in that wise, right? So some people don't like people being independent around them because they want to control them, right? Dictators, bosses would rather have someone that is dependent, someone that's a slave mindset, so they can control that person. But the real thing about human beings is that human beings are not made to be used. They are made to be worked with, right? And that also happens in some marriage setting where women are oppressed. It's like, oh, the man is the head, the man is the head, and that man goes there and just wants to oppress the woman. Doesn't want the woman to be, oh, I am the head, even though you don't know some things, That's not headship, that's not leadership, that's not God's mind, right? True headship is one where the two of them, come together and play their role in that relationship and submit truly to one another. It's not the trait, it's not the dictator stance, the boss stance that we find around that has resulted into a lot of people killing their spouse because they're trying to put that person under, I'm the boss, I'm the boss. It's not the true stance. It's not God's mindset. It's not the progressive mindset. It's not the sustainable mindset, right? So we were all created to be like God, in God's image, right? And in God's image, we're created to be independent beings who can live their lives on their own, that can, as it were, fight their battles on their own. However, there is a higher place we get to when we team up with other people. But that teaming up is not something that is forced on us. It's something that we make the decision to and for, because not all teaming and coming together is necessarily productive. So you have to choose the one you want to team up with that is in line with your goal, your mission, your vision for your life, right? It's not something that you have to do, but it's something that you decide to do to go to the next level of your existence, right? And this pretty much ties with Stephen Covey's habit number 1, right, of the 7 habits of highly effective people, which is, it talks about being proactive, right? It's saying that the first thing we need to recognize in terms of the habits of highly effective people is that place where we are proactive about the issues of our life. We're proactive about the details of our life. We take charge of our life. We don't allow leave ourselves for things to happen to us, but rather we happen to things, right? We happen to life, not that we allow life to happen to us. We have an internal locus of control. That means we're not slaves to our environment. We're not slaves to the things happening around us, but we decide where we want to go, and we then attune everything inside of us, everything that we have, to take us to that place to achieve the mission, the vision for our life. So it's not about reacting, it's about responding, or taking the first step towards where we want to go, right? And that's that place where we make a decision concerning our lives, right? Where do I want to be tomorrow? Where do I want to be today? Where do I want to be in 1 week's time, 1 month's time, 1 year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 15 years' time, 20 years' time, right? We take the proactive decision. We don't wait till things happen before we do what we need to do or what we want to do, right? So that's important, if we're going to make it in life. One of the things I've tagged our time here together, I've tagged it as a business school as much as I've tagged it as a school of life. So I'm saying here, like we shared last week, it's not just talking about business, we're talking about our life, because our life is our life is a business, right? Business is life, life is a business. Our mere living every day is a business. It's our business, our core business, the business of our life, right? And we need to make sure the business of our life is a success, right? Otherwise, we're failure, right? Our life itself is a business. And when we talk about here, we're talking about how to make the business of our life, our living, a success, right? So that's part of what we're talking about. I'm going to move to the next one. Toba, feel free to stop me at any time if you have any question. I know your audio is a bit struggling and all of that, but you can also send me a chat if you can't get the audio right. All right, great. All right, just going on to the next slide here. It's just something in Chris Gardner, it's someone who wrote a book and did a movie called The Pursuit of Happiness, and it was just a story of his life. And he recalled something his mother told him, which is also very true. When we say the cavalry is not coming, sometimes we leave expecting someone to come deliver us, right? And how much I don't like all this idea of destiny helper. I think it's not of God. I think it's of a devil. I think he encourages people to wish and not to be proactive. I don't find scripture that supports it. I think it's all coined by the devil. It's the fact that we are created to take charge of our life rather than sitting down waiting for a destiny helper. We're not called, we're not created to be wishing for someone else to take charge of our lives for us. We're created to be able to look at our life, see where we are, see where we want to go to, and begin to do what we can do today, right? When we begin on the journey, God will give us everything that we don't have now, but we have to start from where we are. Right, and God will help us while on our way. I love that saying of Abraham's servant. He said, while I was on my way, the Lord helped me, right? Not while I was sitting down, not while I was wishing, not while I was praying for destiny helper, but while I was doing what I could do, the Lord helped me. The Lord met me there. The Lord met me while I was making the best of what was in my hands. Right, not wishing, not doing a pity party or anything of that. And as we are highlighting that in the slide here, it's a place where we take stock of where I am today. Where I am today? Is this where I want to be? Do I like where I am today? What if I don't, then I need to understand how did I get here? What are the things I did wrong? What are the steps that brought me here that I don't like or I don't want to be? Learn from my history, right? Not cry, not take it as my hand. it's history. My history is my lesson, is my school. It's not my destination. It's not my home. I learn from my history, right? And I then use that learning to take me to where I want to be, where home is, where my vision is, where my mission is, right? So it's taking stock of where I am. It's learning from my history and using all of the learnings and more learnings to get me to where I want to be, right? So that's important. That's when we take charge of our lives, right? So, and that's something every successful person, does. Whether you be an entrepreneur, just a person, right? Then an entrepreneur or whatever else you want to add to it. It's a successful teacher, successful engineer, a successful businessman, whatever else you want to do to that. But it's just the attribute of someone who is successful. That person does not just sit down waiting for someone else to take charge of the affairs of their life, but they take charge, they lay hold of the affairs of their life and begin to move it, in the direction they want it and to the destination they want it to go, right? And and everyone gets to struggle, right? There's nobody that has a perfect life. Someone that's having a pity party would think, hey, everybody has it, it's only me. I was there when my wife was in a prayer meeting and someone was asking a question, does God love some people more than other people? That's what people get, the thing that the devil brings that to people's mind when they're going through a hard time. It's like, oh, I've been forsaken, I've been forgotten, and all of that stuff. But that's nothing like that, right? We are all given equally according to our heating, according to our strength, according to our enablement. No one is shortchanged, right? Never believe a lie that you are shortchanged. You have everything that you need to become all that you want to become, right? You have everything that you need to become all that you want and need to become. You just need to start using it, right? Start using what you have. Don't wait for what you don't have. Use what you have and begin to take baby steps in the direction that you want, and you'll be surprised the miracle that you meet along the way. Miracles don't happen to people that just sit down and wait. Miracles happen to people that are already doing the best with what they have today, not tomorrow, right? Everyone struggles, right? No life is perfect, right? We're all pushing, including me and myself, sharing with you here. I've gone through my struggles in life. If you follow me on social media, you will see I share openly my struggles at different phases of my life, and is everything perfect today? Not yet even perfect, right? And I'm not looking for a perfect life, right? I used to be a perfectionist, right? I used to think everything had to be perfect, but I haven't gone through 2 years of depression 2 times. I've learned not perfection is not the way of life, right? It's not perfection, right? It's about not pursuing perfection doesn't mean that I don't pursue excellence, right? I have a work ethic, I have ethics, and I have a heart for excellence. I have a heart for doing things right, right? So, but being a perfectionist is not the way of life. It's the way of the devil. It's the way of hell, right? It's the way of the proud, right? It's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best that you can do at every point in time, doing your part, doing your best, satisfying your conscience that you've done the most that you can do. That's a secret to life, right? So it's not about waiting for someone else to do things for you. It's about you doing what you can do at each point in time. And all that you need, you would get as you do the things that you can do, right? And that's just a secret to life. That's not to say you will not get help from people. Obviously, we all have strengths and weaknesses, make the best of your strength, and find people you can delegate your weaknesses to, or you can pay for. That's what we'll pay. You can hire someone to do your weakness, your things that you're not that weak, you're not that strong, you don't have a time for, or does not give you the biggest bulk for your money, you can delegate, right? But the key thing is that you don't be in a place where you feel as if the world is against you. You feel that you are forgotten. You start pitying yourself, right? That doesn't lead to life. Being sad doesn't bring happiness, right? A spirit is that's what we call the law of attraction, right? You attract who you are. If you're sad, you only attract sad things. If you're happy, you attract happy things, right? The universe does not deal with sentiment. The universe is not sentimental. The universe will not bring you happiness because you are sad. The universe will give you happiness because you are happy. So if you want happiness, you need to be happy. You are happy by choice, not because things are necessarily right, but because you want happiness, you are happy today. Your happiness today will attract happiness, right? That's just the way the God has created the universe to work. And it's not going to change because of you or me. We just need to adjust to what is, and in also being a part of life, it's not just doing the minimum. Whatsoever we lay our hands to, we need to give it our best, right? You're only going to get the best out of life by giving it your best, right? Working is not something that's going to come natural, right? And Stephen Pressfield wrote a book called Do the Work. And in it, he paints a picture of where a knight and a dragon, right? It puts you as a knight and dragon as a resistance. Resistance is just like inertial. It's just like friction. God or the universe is created with friction. Resistance is created with things that go against the normal flow of work, right? Just like gravity, right? We can to fly, you have to overcome gravity, as it were, right? And in that wise, we need to be intentional to be able to get anything done, right? There will always be resistance to us doing work. There will always be resistance to us doing the right things we want to do, right? For us to get things done, for us to excel in life, then we have to put our energy to do what we need to do, and not just to do it, but to do it the best that we can. Until we are putting our best, we have truly not done anything, right? Work or putting effort into developing your life and becoming all that God wants you to be, or attracting the blessings of heaven, attracting the favor of God, the goodwill of God, is by doing your best, putting your best to everything that you get to do. Doing the barest minimum is as good as doing nothing at all, right? There's a word called enthusiasm, right? And that needs to be what we'll put it into everything that we'll find ourselves in. The word enthusiasm, is the word ethos, comes from the word ethos, which means God, right? Ethos it's called the God within. Enthusiasm is the God within, right? That's a translation from, I believe that's from the Latin word. Ethos. Enthusiasm is ethos within, right? It's called the God within. Just the same way scriptures will tell us that whatsoever we do, we should do with all our might as unto God. It talks about not being slack in business, not being slothful, but fervent in spirit, enthusiastic, fervent in spirit, enthusiastic. That's the way to turn on the channel, to open the gates of treasure that's come unto you. The world only responds to people who put their heart in what they do, right? Not people that just do it, let's make them happy. They just check the box. If you're going to make it in this life, if the riches that God has a portion for your life is going to come to you, then you're going to have to do whatever you do with the whole of your heart, putting your best into it, right? Your best is what opens the riches of heaven to flow into your life, right? And it's probably worth looking at the last sentence there. Something Jeff Bezos, carries as like a banner on his head, right? That, you will never, 20 years from now, you're not going to regret, right, the things you have done as much as you regret the things you did not do. That's what Stephen Pressfield is saying there. It says the pain of not doing it, of not doing a thing, is worse than the pain of doing it. right? Whatsoever your heart captures to do, right? If you procrastinate, if you defer it, give excuses around it, you will never know what could have happened if you did it, right? If something your heart has captured to do, take a chance at it. Do your best. Do what you can do on it, because life is about whatsoever it's in our heart to do. Once we believe that it's something in our parts to do, it pays to do it. Not doing it will only bring regret and sorrow our way. Because years from now, you see someone else doing the same thing and you say, wow, if only I had done that. And that's the problem with people that have ideas, right? It's easy to have idea, but not following through on the idea, you'll never know what could have happened. The success of an idea is all about what you do about it. It's not enough to have an idea, right? You don't have to kill yourself, to put all you have into it. That's why we talk about doing pilot plans. Pilot plan is doing it's experimenting, it's trying something little bit such that if it fails, it won't kill you, right? You don't have to, in stepping into the river, you don't have to go into the river with 2 legs. You can put 1 foot there, first of all, to test how deep it is. But if you put your 2 feet in really deep, you are gone for. But you can try 1 leg to see how deep it is, see if you find the ground. If you find the ground, you can put the other one. But if you put the 2 legs in looking for the ground, you might just sink, But that's just the way life is. Life is about doing experiments, right? It's as much as we say do things, we're not saying be stupid around it. But don't just go in and put all your eggs in it without you testing the ground, first of all, and understanding the boundaries of what you're going into, But not doing anything at all is even worse than you even making that big mistake, right? Because life is about experimenting, you never know what the outcome of a thing is until you try it, and it might just be a regret of your life if you don't, because someone else would do it and you'll be just wondering what would have happened if only I did it, So any question for me so far before I go on? Any question?
You can go.
All right. So, and that's one thing also, whenever I hear about, putting your best in, I remember something about George H.W. Bush, for the first president of the US, when he was in Naval School, he was asked, did he put his best in, and he said no, but it's all part of also talking about not doing things. If you do things haphazardly, you don't get the fullness of the benefit of it. So life is about putting your best in whatsoever you do. Let your mind, let your heart be in it, because that's what truly opens the door of treasure of heaven. Heaven does not respond to everybody. Doesn't respond to everybody that is doing something. It only responds to people who put their heart into what they are doing. Those are the people that heaven responds to. Those are the people the treasure of this life respond to, right? So Bush was saying that be bold in your caring, be bold in your dreaming. Above all else, always do your best. Always put your best into whatsoever things that you find yourself doing. So you don't think that at any point in time that you have tried, you keep on improving, getting better, pressing on, to get the treasure that you desire for your life. And we talked about the importance of enthusiasm earlier on. All right. On the last part is just to say that whatsoever you do, your work is your signature in this life, right? The things that you do, whatever you do, you're not doing for someone else, irrespective of where you are. So I love to say that I work for free, right? I don't work for the salary, right? I work for the benefit that heaven brings my way, right? If all you do is work for the salary, then the universe does not owe you anything. But if you do more than working for your salary, then God holds you for the extra, right? If all you do is work is work so that you get for what you get paid, and you say, oh, I'm not going to do any more, they don't pay me well enough, then God does not owe you anything. You have already been fully paid. The way to make it is to always put God in debt. Is to always put the universe in debt. That's why we say put your heart into whatever you're doing. Do more than what you get paid for, right? The extra that you do is what you are saying, God, I'm expecting your pay for the extra because they didn't pay me for this extra, right? Well, the God is the best paymaster, right? Not your boss, not your customer, right? The extra you put in is the prayer on its own, right? Prayer is not just you kneeling down talking to God. We'll pray by everything that we do because it's like that's called sowing and reaping. So whatsoever I sow is a seed, is a prayer that demands a response. That response is called the harvest, right? So it's all that place where my work, it's my prayer, what I do with it. And also apart from that, it's also my signature. It tells of who I am, right? I had an experience recently here trying to do an audit for my company, right? The audit is due. And even though I could get someone else had already been given to me to do it, I felt I wanted to give it to a young lady, just to give her something, and that was the regret, right? Because the young lady, first of all, was too much after the money. It was about, oh, where's the down payment? Even when I did the down payment, oh, I have nothing sleep, all of that. And by the time the young lady did the work, did not even give me the work, wanted the final payment. And I did all of that because I was doing it in faith, right? But the work she did for me was useless. I couldn't use it. But I paid her fully, but what she gave to me is useless. Now I have someone else doing the same job. That person has not even asked me for money. He's not even discussed with me how much I'm going to pay him. He's not even asked me for down payment. All he's doing is doing the work. The unlike lady that I gave the material did not even ask me one question. This guy's been asking me a question. I've gone through 210 pages of document to help this guy do the work right. I already have another job for him after he's the one he's doing right now because a friend needs someone to do the same thing for him. It's easy for me to recommend this new person I'm working with. You see, those are two personalities. This other person is a regret. It will never smell work for me forever, right? This other person I can take anywhere, right? So your work goes beyond just that work. It's like a Nigerian thing. People are just focused on the one job, but you don't make money for one job. You make money from referral. You make money from referral, not one job. You just want to kill on one job. That person will remain before you focus on his one job. People that make money from referral. That is, you did a good job. Someone refers you to this, to this, to this, to this. That's how you make money, right? And just in closing, also, it's one of the things that distract people from working is when you're too conscious of yourself, right? I grew up as a timid person. I grew up as a shy person, so I can talk to you more about this. And being timid, being shy, right? It's not a positive; it's a negative, it's a weakness. And it only comes from being too focused on yourself. What do people think about me? What will people say about me? All of that does not matter. Your focus is on what you're doing, right? When you start focusing on what people think about you, you're taking yourself too serious, right? You need to focus on your vision, your mission, and make it the best you can make it to be. That's all that matters. You're not trying to impress anybody. You're trying to impress yourself. You're trying to impress yourself and your God. You're trying to impress your conscience. You set a minimum level of working for yourself. You have a work ethics that you work towards, right? And that helps you. That helps you break into territories, and territories that either might have been an hindrance. When your focus is right, if your focus is on people and what they think about you, you've been limited. When your focus is on your vision, your mission, what you want to accomplish, then you see nothing as a boundary, right? You're pushing towards it. You're not looking for excuses. You're looking for yes, right? You're looking for yes. Now, it's when when you focus on yourself, you're focused on the things that will not work. You're focused on the problem, right? Life, you will not go far if all you're doing is focus on the problem. You need to be focused on the solution. There's always going to be a problem, right? That problem is asking a question: how far do you want to go? How much do you want this? Life is about focus on the solution, not the problem, right? That's what differentiates between the poor and the rich. The poor, the poor is always focused on the problem. Oh, it's raining. It's not raining. It's dry season, not dry season, wet season. We don't have money. Oh, it's dollar is 800. Oh, dollar is 1,000. Those are all the problems, right? That is for people that don't know what they're doing. Question is, how can we get this done? Right? That's the way to make it in this life. There's always going to be a problem, right? Solving them is what differentiates you in life. All right. I'm going to stop there. I've spoken enough. Anything you want to add, subtract, question, correct, feel free.
Okay, nothing much. But what's the title of the book again? I know it's something on business. So
Yeah. That's the title. There's Business is Personal. That's the book. You say, if you see the video, you see the book. Is Business is Personal. That's the name of the book, the title of the book. Did you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
Yeah. Business is Personal. That's the title of the book. It's just how relating our own business life, but we are taking it more than just that to relate it to the whole of our life, because life is a business. Business is life, so as much as we talk about doing business, we also talk about how it relates to every area of our life, really. We can talk about church life, of family life, and work life, everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kevin, any question for me?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Well done.
Yes, sir. In the conclusive part of the talk, you said you made mention of not focusing on the problem.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask, what's the place of identifying the challenge that is before one, acknowledging the challenge, stating the challenge that is before one, then going about? Is it that it's not proper to acknowledge the challenges or the difficulties, or just to talk about the solution and forget about the challenges? Because sometimes I tend to try to acknowledge the difficulty. This is what the situation and the actual facts on ground, then before knowing how to go about it or the solutions. I don't know if you get my question, sir.
I get your question. Yeah. So the word is, the important thing is focus, not that you don't acknowledge, right? So if you don't acknowledge, then there's another problem called you are being delusional, you are being in denial, right? The same way, let's start from when you focus on yourself. You didn't grow up as a timid person, did you? Did you grow up as a timid person? No.
No, sir.
All right, so you won't understand this well, but I grew up as a timid person. So let me tell you, you know what it means to be timid, right? To be shy.
Yes, sir.
What's your understanding of someone being shy?
Okay, my understanding is focusing, basically, when somebody is shy, is basically focused on the assessment, the external assessment of persons, whether what people think or say, or the outward expression, the outward response towards what he's going to do, or what is going to look, his looks, his thoughts, or what he's saying. So basically, it's just pay more attention to the outward expression, whether from people, from circumstance, than looking inward. I don't.
All right. So the person that is not shy, what's different? Does those physical things, are they still there?
Yes, they are there, but most times the person who is not shy, does not have a shy disposition, pays attention to himself or herself more, or what the intentions he wants to do, instead of assessing himself based on what people will say or what people will do.
Yeah. So you see, the physical features are the same. They're probably the same height, as some the same way. They are dressed the same way. It's just what they are focused on that is different. So you see, so if I'm problem focused, then all I'm focusing on is a problem. If I'm solution focused, I'm focused on the solution. Doesn't mean that the problem or solution is not there at any of the 2 points in time. It's all a function of what are you focusing on? What are you putting your power, your energy around? You get what I'm trying to say? So there's always going to be problem, right? Someone that is problem focused, hence there. It's what we talk about, the difference between a pessimist and a pessimist and a, what's the other one now? What's the opposite of pessimist?
Optimistic.
Optimistic, right? Yeah. So it's the difference between a pessimist and an optimist, right? It's the difference between whether the cup is half full or half empty. You know that the same amount of water that is in the cup.
Yes, sir.
It's the same amount of water that's in the cup, but the way I describe the cup tells me what I'm focused on. If I say the cup is half empty, right, I'm focused on depletion. Exactly. If I say the cup is half full, I'm focused on feeling. The cup does not change. The cup is the same. The amount of water in the cup is the same, but the vision of each one is different. One is seeing lack, the other one is seeing abundance. One is seeing decrease, the other one is seeing increase, right? So when in a situation, the problems are still the problem, right? But the way you see the problem would differ based on your mindset. If you see the problems as something that will limit you, then you are a problem-focused person. If you see the problem as something that is there to be solved, then you're a solution-minded person. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's like someone that needs to go for an interview or needs to sow. The Bible says he will say, oh, there's a lion on the street. I cannot go today. Whereas another person will say, there's a lion on the street, but I'll find a way around it. I must go. It doesn't change the fact that there's a lion on the street, right? One uses that lion as an excuse not to do anything. Another person uses that lion as an excuse to do something. Am I making any sense?
Yes, sir. Totally.
Yeah. So it's not as if the problem won't be there. Is the way you see the problem. Are you seeing the problem as something that limits you, or as something that you need to look for a solution for or solution to? That would then determine what kind of a mindset you are, whether you're a problem-focused person or a solution-focused person. A solution-focused person will not have solution if there's no problem, right? He's thinking, oh, we have this problem. Oh, so how can we tackle it? What can we do that we'll do about it? The other person says, oh, we have this problem also, we can't do it. Oh, we can't do it, we can't do it. Let's do something else. You know, those are two different people. And that's what determines people that are poor and people that are rich, not God. It's the way you think. You get? It's just like JFK said, oh, we're going to go to the space in so time. And that person says, oh, space, we can't go to space, so let's just do this. Let's limit ourselves to what we can do. How can you talk about space? Space, we're not even solving a local problem. We're talking about space. Two different mindsets. One big evolves, the other one goes backwards, because nobody's really constant. You get?
Yes, sir.
Does that help you?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. All right. Talk about any other thing, any question? If not, we can shut it down. You know,
No.
all right. There's one last part to the book. I didn't want to rush everything. I don't want to just speak. Open up, we can take it, you know. So the next section in the book, which will be the last part of chapter 1 we'll do next week, is talking about making the call and start and maintaining your enthusiasm, right? And enthusiasm is important, right? If you don't have enthusiasm, you cannot get rich. You'll be poor the days of your life, right? Enthusiasm is the fire within to work. If you don't have fire inside of you, you always give excuses, right? So, yeah. So we'll talk more about that next week. So if there's no other question, we're going to shut it down. And if you're on Facebook, I do have a Facebook group where, called Book Club. So if you have any other question on this, you can throw it down there for me. And I will always go there and answer it. You know, if you catch this on YouTube, feel free, and we'll take it. We'll take it. I'm devoted to this. This is what I do. This is what I've devoted my Sundays to doing. So feel free anyway. And I'm not doing it for check the box. I'm doing it so that in a way that we can learn, we can grow, can make a difference for our life. And Kevin, I think it's good for you. Feel free, but I can't force you to. It has to work with your other schedule. But feel free, and grow by it. I want the best for you, So may God help us all.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.